Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. As I stated on numerous occasions, this war in Ukraine between United States, NATO and Russia is a controlled war. And the big dogs do not want to really get too harmed in the process. And they use, in this case, Ukraine and the Ukrainian nation to be the, how should I put it, the biggest losers in all this. Even though they think that their territory is defended and the Western countries are fighting for them and so on. Yeah, that's partly true, but that's not the goal of the whole thing. The goal of the whole thing is United States and NATO must kneel Russia. Must turn Russia in that Russia from 1991 to 1999. And that was a weak Russia, and the Americans and NATO military had access to the Russian command posts. If you remember, they were verifying whatever they wanted. They even had, the FBI had an office in Moscow to, I don't know, communicate better with their new servants. Now, this war is controlled, as I said many times, and in this case we have United States of America with China getting engaged in certain kind of deals, closed doors deals, obviously, that we hear about after years or months or never. So what's going on this time? I have the certainty, or I think I think 99.9% that the Western countries will supply Ukraine with fighter jets, one way or another. I said this from the very beginning that the Western countries will supply Ukraine with everything but nuclear weapons. They will provide them even with boots on the ground. I think they already have them over there under a how should I say, a term or another. They're observers, they are trainers, they are military, blah blah blah, auditors. They are there. Now what they do over there, not necessarily what they tell us they do. In this case, the West provided, in a way or another, as I said, one way or another, Ukraine with tanks. That's the highest level of whatever they supplied. They supplied with anti-missile air defense systems. Again, they limited their radius, their access, their range, and again, protected and controlled. And they are in talks, and I think they will fulfill the delivery of fighter jets to Ukraine. Poland is very active in providing Ukraine with anything that Ukraine might need, including fighter jets. And this article comes from the New Voice of Ukraine. This proves that fact. It is from November 25, 2022, this article. US stopped Poland giving Ukraine MiG-29 jets in secret deal with China. So Poland wanted to give Ukraine MiG-29 jets, but US told them no because they had a deal with China. So where is all that morality? It's like, okay, we're not going to punish the pedophile today. We're going to wait a few more weeks because I have a deal with his uncle or something. Is that how justice works? Yes, exactly. That's the way it works. The United States scuppered a deal for Poland to provide Ukraine with Soviet-made MiG-29 jets back in March due to a back-channel intervention by Beijing, UK journalist Owen Matthews wrote on the Spectator's news magazine on November 26, referring to Chinese sources. Well, today is what? November 25, and over there is November 26. I don't really see how that is possible, because yeah, 25. Even if I add 8 hours or 9 hours or 7 hours to the current time here, it's still not November 26th there. And we are definitely in November 25. In particular, it was agreed that if the United States stopped the MiG deal, Beijing's generals would do their best to defuse Putin's nuclear threat at the operational level. Matthews wrote, probably it's November 25, but this guy's made a mistake here. And I'm quoting, "It worked," said the Chinese source. And I'm quoting, "The United States decided that supplying aircraft was a step too far at that stage of the war." That stage, that should be the key word. According to Matthews, initially Washington was positive about the transfer of MiG-29 jets by Poland in exchange for more modern Western fighter jets for Warsaw. But a day later, on March 8th, the Pentagon abruptly reversed its position, pronouncing Poland's proposal not tenable. At the same time, as the author wrote, despite a dramatic escalation in supplies of money and military hardware, including NATO standard 155mm artillery capable of firing guided shells and the high-mobility artillery rocket systems, NATO has held back on providing attack aircraft. For now. Helicopters, they already did. The Brits did. They delivered 3 of them. I think they delivered 1 now. Yesterday or the day before was delivered, and 2 more they will be delivered. Those are the anti-submarine King something helicopters. I made a video on that. I can't remember, King something, King of the Seas or whatever. NATO standard tanks. No NATO standard tanks were delivered yet, but Slovenia delivered or gave United States about 80 or 82 tanks. They will be refurbished, I'm guessing, or modernized. I think they were T72 or T80, something not that old, Russian kind of tanks and made tanks, and they gave to be refurbished by the United States 40, I think, and 40 or 42 by the Netherlands. So they got those 2. Germany will provide, of course, Ukraine with Leopard 2 tanks, because Ukraine is after Germany like a dog in heat. That's what's going to be here. It's going to come and say, hey, look, Slovenia delivered, now is your turn, because Germany tried to postpone until the freaking war is over, man. We can't deliver all these things. But eventually they will, because the big boss, which is the United States, will give the order, I assume. Okay, I assume, because it's just the timing. It's not the desire. Desire is there, and they will make this decision sooner or later. So NATO standard long range, on top of all this, long range systems, so long range battlefield missile and cruise missile systems. So this is another one that has to be checked by NATO member states, and they will probably supply that to Ukraine if they didn't supply it yet, but shushed, you know. US Secretary of State Blinken said on March 6 that NATO members had the go-ahead to send fighter jets to Ukraine as the US and allies continues their effort to help Ukraine defend itself against Russia's invasion. He noted the US authorities, and I'm quoting, "We're talking with our Polish friends right now about that. About what we might be able to do to backfill their needs if in fact they choose to provide these fighter jets to the Ukrainians," end quote. I remember when they were talking about it, but then it was quiet. The Biden administration had initially said the MiG-29 jets, which were deployed in Poland, could be transferred to Ukraine to provide air support, but instead the Pentagon sent them to a US base in Germany, claiming that, quote-unquote, the transfer of MiG-29 jets to Ukraine may be mistaken as escalatory and could result in significant Russian reaction that might increase the prospect of a military escalation with NATO. Little by little they're gonna get there. Later that day, Poland announced it would not transfer its fighter jets to Ukraine. After a series of emotional statements by Kiev and Warsaw, the United States, represented by Pentagon spokesman John Kirby, on March 9 finally rejected the transfer of Polish fighter jets to Ukraine. So, controlled, it's not all war, it's not total war, we knew that, and it's coming. It's coming. They're going to send fighter jets, but probably going to start, as I said before, with something lower. Something like, come on, man, it's not a big deal. It's not like an F-35 or something. It's just a, I don't know, MiG-29. Let's start with that one from Korea War or something. And they will gradually come with the latest models. Not the latest, but more advanced. Regarding the long-range missile systems, I think they have them over there. What they have the launchers, and they need to provide missiles that would be capable of flying further. That's how it works. Or they have they already have them over there, but they're not in use, so they don't anger the Russians too much. They let the Russians, get used with it, and then they will little by little increase their pressure. I mean, they said they were not going to deliver tanks. They said they were not going to deliver missile systems. They're not going to deliver helicopters. They delivered all this. So what do you think would be the fighter jet? Maybe don't even need to deliver the fighter jets, because if they have the missiles, is kind of the same thing, and you don't have any losses. You don't have to send a crew and how many millions of dollars of equipment to go and hit a target, when you can do it possibly with a missile that is much cheaper, and you have no risks attached to all that mission. Well, I'm waiting for the delivery of fighter jets to Ukraine. Will happen if the war doesn't end in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.